We are back in the races. And back with us is Dale Romans, who absolutely is shepherding the career of what is clearly the most exciting 2-year-old of recent vintage. And the win on Saturday in the Iroquois by Not This Time. Just a wow effort. And in addition to that, Dale's got a lot of things really starting to roll after a little bit of a quiet summer. Engaginglee wins the Locust Grove, and opening day toasting master, and going back to Kentucky Downs, sweeping Paddy by a dozen lengths. So there's lots going right for Romans Racing. Good morning, Dale Romans.
Good morning, Steve Bick.
Well, I'm starting to see more of you on the TV screen here with the fall setting in. Maybe you're like the horses who prefer the cooler weather.
Well, I always have preferred the fall. I like the fall, spring and fall, Derby, Triple Crown times, and Breeders' Cup times. But one thing I noticed, I hadn't been on the show in a long time. I was thinking about that driving back from Saratoga. Usually you have me on the way back from Saratoga. So I was thinking I must be slumping a little bit.
Well, I wasn't that you were slumping. You may have been slumbering. You had a very quiet Saratoga. You only sent out a handful of horses, and meanwhile at Ellis, it did seem that you were, like so many Midwestern outfits, you were also using Ellis as a great place to get the 2-year-olds going, and you can see it's already paying off.
Yeah, that's all true, but you can still have me on. I could talk about a lot of things other than horses winning stakes and different things. You know that. We could talk about Churchill Downs or the state of racing in Kentucky, Naira. We could cause some controversy.
I did suggest that coming out of the break, I did say I don't think Dale will be controversial today because there's only good things to talk about. I want you to talk about the horses that you're buying at Keeneland. I think you got 7 or 8 hips already that are signed up. Let's talk, though, about the results on the racetrack and talk about the 2-year-old Dale, because this was really a great scenario because he got an education under a set of circumstances.
Well, I started preaching about him when he walked in the barn and leading up to his first race, and he broke a little slow that day and didn't run, didn't finish as well as we thought. But that's going to end up being a key race. But to put it all together at Ellis Park, I called down there and asked Dan Bortry to put a mile race up for us to preface for the Iroquois, and he did. And I thought he'd win, but I didn't know he'd win by 10 lengths. Then if you look at Neil's horse that ran second in that race at Ellis, he comes back and wins 2 races before the Iroquois at Churchill. The straight maiden race at Churchill kind of legitimized that field that we beat. And then when he jumped out, he kind of crow-hopped out of the gate. I hate being the last horse in the gate. I don't care what race it is or how experienced they are. I've always felt like it's a whole lot better to have a horse on each side of you. But he got in there, wasn't completely set up, kind of crow-hopped out, put himself in a little further back than I expected him to be. But it worked out perfect, and Robbie said he sat behind horses 8-3, got schooled the way he wanted to. He said he pulled him out, and he just started. They were still running, and he just galloping past them. I really think this might be the best horse I've ever had.
You said that on Saturday after the race, and you seemed as wowed by the performance as anybody. You talk about the race that he's coming out of from Ellis, the mile race, even the Churchill debut when he ran into Bitumen and Cassie's Story and others. I mean, that is a productive early season 2-year-old maiden group as well. So clearly he's kept good company. For the Allbaz, this is a homebred out of the very nice Miss Macy Sue, and it feels like a horse that the way he runs, Dale, going further doesn't look like an issue. It looks like a complete package, 3 starts into a career.
Well, yeah, it's been for me. I mean, it's a total package, as you say. He's got the pedigrees, a half to Liam's Map and Taylor S, and the mare's 3 for 3 producing stake horses. He's got one of my favorite sires in the country, Giants Causeway. I just think he just gets done year after year, and he looks the part. He's got the mindset for it. He's got the talent to turn a foot. There's just nothing missing on this colt.
Unbelievable. Well, now you've got a couple of things to think about in terms of training up toward Breeders' Cup Juvenile, or taking advantage of the hometown or the local opportunity at Keeneland and the Futurity. Comes up pretty quick, but what are your thoughts? I think you voiced Saturday you might wait.
Well, I think we might wait. I mean, we have another exceptional colt in the barn in Singing Bullet that we're pointing towards the Futurity. And, I mean, he's awfully good too, but it's a tough call this year. The way the calendar fell, you have the Iroquois, then you come back in 3 weeks. It's only 3 weeks back to the Futurity, and then you want to come back 4 weeks to the Breeders' Cup. It's a lot of racing for a young horse, and especially if we're looking down the road for next year. And even though the Futurity would make a stallion, but so I think we'll go Singing Bullet in the Futurity. Keep not this time out and wait for California. And hopefully making champion 2-year-old.
Well, there's a lot to look forward to, and when you mention the dam, Miss Macy Sue, and of course the Von Hemels, both with their hands and her terrific career. There's just everything going for this one. He's an April foal, so probably more growing to do as well. And the performance on Saturday just really had everybody got a very just solid figure. It didn't leap forward too much. Really, just a complete positive to take away. Handled the wet track, just all the different elements. Talk about the Engaginglee as well, too, because that was also a situation where it looked like she was, a beaten horse at a certain point, Dale, and came running.
That was a special victory. That's a homebred for Paul Lichtenfield and Jack Stewart, and they go back to my childhood working in the barn with my father. They were his clients and best friends, and to take their homebred and get them their first stakes win, I think, at Churchill Downs. I know their first greatest stakes win at Churchill was pretty special, even though it was just a $100,000 stake. But for that filly, she deserved to be a stakes winner, and those two guys deserved to be in the director's room after a nice stake at Churchill. And even though we've won bigger money races, that was very rewarding win. Those are the two guys that have been around since I can remember.
Well, and you talk about how timely it is, too. She's a 5-year-old mare and multiple graded stake placed, including that terrific effort behind Carolina that came in the La Troyenne, where you, at the time, you said that was as good as winning a stake for her to be grade 1 placed.
Yeah, it was. To be grade 1 place means a lot for those fillies, but to back it up and legitimize yourself with a win like the Locust Grove on your resume, it means a lot, and it meant a lot to them, and it meant a lot to their mare, and it meant a lot to what her future broodmare value will be. And it was a very nice win and capped off a great day.
Absolutely, and nice to see actually that mare, Lee Gage, happens to be a daughter of Fit to Fight. A nice name to see on pedigree lines. Well, Dale, in addition, we'll play some catch-up, too, because you got to talk about sweeping Paddy. That was quite something. Going back a week or so at Kentucky Downs.
That was some performance. Now, I knew she could run a little bit, but we put her on turf, and that was freaky. I mean, it was just a spectacular thing to watch. And, she's a full sister to Cherry Wine. So, I trained the father, the mother, and the granddam, and pulled her out there at my farm that she was raised. Her mother and her were both raised right there on our farm in the backyard. And so it's nice to see those homebreds come out and run like that. And, I think I'll just wait on her and take her straight to the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Filly turf and see if she can have that same kind of performance with the big girls. Well, and
that performance, another horse that had started the season, the career at Ellis Park on the main track, ran very credibly too. And Dale, I'm just curious, was it the availability of the purse, $130,000 opportunity at Kentucky Downs this fall, the stretch out, the grass? I mean, talk about the decision making, because she certainly ran okay in that debut, going 6.5 on the main.
Yeah, well, I mean, you think Paddy Prados would be better on the grass, and I want to try the grass. And you know, the money was you can't pass up that kind of purse money in a maiden race, and so we just went down there and thinking if she ran big that we could go do something down the road in Miss Grillo or the race at Keeneland. But the way she ran, I think she deserves to be pointed towards the Breeders' Cup.
Well, you talked about the ownership and the association with Engaginglee in terms of Paul Lichtenfield and Jack Stewart. This again, of course, longtime friends and clients and really Dutch uncles in Bill Pasella and Frank Jones.
Very much so, very much so. Bill's been one of my staples of the stable since I went out on my own many years ago. And then, of course, Frank Jones, everyone knows our relationship. He's more like a father to me than he is a client. He was there the day I was born and was with my father from the very beginning before either one of them knew anything about owning any racehorses or training racehorses. So to have a good horse for those guys, it makes it a lot more special.
Well, a lot of good special things happening. Toasting Master opening day of the Churchill Fall Meet as well for West Point. And Dale, before we wrap up, got to ask you about the Keeneland impressions. You've gotten a handful, 7 or 8, including the $300,000 Go Sapper colt. Talk about some of the clients you're shopping for and which ones might be house horses. What's your Keeneland view so far?
Well, Keeneland's been pretty successful so far. I mean, we've got, like I said, 7 or 8 that I've signed a ticket for myself, and then we've got another 6 or 7 that the All Balls have purchased. So we're up to about 15, 20 young horses going south to get broke. And, we've gotten a really good, strong group. And like I say, the Giants cost, the Go Sapper we bought, that was for Jim Bakke, which is stepping up and becoming a pretty big player in the game. And I think we bought 5 for him. And like I said, he's on Sub-Zero refrigerators, and he's stepping up and going to be a pretty good player in this game. And All Balls, of course, this is the 3rd year that they've been active at the sales and had success the first couple. And hopefully we pick out another Brody's cause for them and get them going. It's always fun. September is a fun time to be in Kentucky with all the racing. It'll wear you out between running from the barn to the sales to the races and back and forth, but it's a great time to be a horseman in Kentucky.
Well, and on that front, going up and down the hill at Keeneland, how you feeling physically? You look basically now finally 100% back after the scary spring incident.
Yeah, the car wreck got me down for a little while, but I mean, it took a lot longer to get to feeling 100% than I thought it would. But I think I feel as good as I have in a long time, and I say a fast horse and young horses at the sales, they'll make you feel good.
Well, happy for you. And are you done shopping? You got a couple of them. You're going to back to Keeneland today?
I'll be done when the last hammer falls. I go over there every day. I can't get enough of young horses. They make you feel good. So I'm over here right now. We're going to look around, see what we can find.
Well, we'll be watching later today, and we're watched over the weekend and saw the successes unfold. Clearly, a lot of people have signed on to their Derby horse early with Not This Time, and a very exciting winner in the Iroquois. A lot more to come. And Dale, first conversation of the fall, and it feels like there's going to be quite a few more.
Well, let's hope so. And you're right. I couldn't think of anything controversial this morning. I hate to disappoint people, but I'll think of something for the next time.
I'm counting on you.
All right, Steve. Thanks a lot.
The one and only Dale Romans. Let's take a break. Bill Denson.